All right, Madam BA, council members, we're back. Are there any other
Concerns?
outstanding issues on 52? I think in essence what we have is the appropriation, and the expenditures will come back to us, and I'm encouraging the administration to fine-tune the plan for the rehabbing of that portion of the building. All right. Any other questions? Any other discussion? Okay. Madam Clerk?
Yes,
Roll
sir.
call, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Item number 52, resolution providing for an emergency temporary appropriation pursuant to NJSA 48:4-20 and other costs resulting from the fire at the Paterson Armory. Administration Resolution 15873. And we had a motion on the floor.
Move it.
Moved by Councilman Morris,
And I think.
second by Councilwoman Davila.
Yes, we did.
Is this number 52 again, Council President?
Yes.
52.
yes.
Yeah, we had
In the fourth whereas, I think there's a mistake on the amount. So if you can fix that real quick.
The
That's
fourth-
152
the
million.
fourth whereas,
the fourth.
the total of 152.
Yeah, but
No,
it says,
that includes the total emergency temporary resolution adopted in fiscal year 2016. That includes everything.
but you're talking about includes the budget. Or you're saying that we have done $152 million of temporary emergency stuff?
See, the total emergency temporary resolution adopted in fiscal year 2016, including this resolution, will total to 152.
Yeah, it says that emergency resolutions. Is that-
Right.
So this year, we did 152 million on emergency,
So, Council
Stuff?
President,
I'm confused.
that, you're talking about the budget, temporary budget resolution, which is what the 152 million is
Well, it says here,
referring to.
total emergency,
I
not,
know, every temporary budget is an emergency one until you get an adopted budget. That's
Oh.
what it's called.
It's not the emergency for this demo.
Right,
no, no,
exactly.
I thought not only for the demo,
No, no, no.
I didn't see the temporary, appropriations as emergency.
Yeah, I understand. You just think.
I see as temporary
Right.
budget appropriations.
They're
Now I
named
understand.
emergency because absent them, nothing will get paid.
All right,
Right.
so total, we're at
It's
152
Million.
as of this year.
Right. So, Councilman.
152 million as of this year. Okay.
So, Councilman, it's temporary appropriation and emergencies. That's why it's referred to it that way.
And we are as of today at 152 million.
Yes,
But Council President.
including this particular one.
Councilman Mendez?
Sure, and so on Resolution 52, we're voting on the emergency and temporary appropriation when it comes to the demolition. We're not talking about the emergency, the appropriation of the budget, the temporary budget.
No, sir, Councilman, except that you have to put that language in when you're
the cumulative.
preparing this resolution for the purpose of describing
Got it, understood.
this emergency appropriation to be included in your total dollar amount in its entirety. So whatever you have expended thus far from July 1st through the present time, it includes this additional emergency appropriation plus all the ones that all the council members have already approved. From July 1st to the present, but it's only language that we have to show why we have an emergency appropriation for the demolition.
Well, I'm sorry, with this emergency appropriation, what percentage of the budget have we already spent?
So that's the discussion that we're going to have at our next resolution. We have a temporary appropriation resolution for your approval and consideration on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Council President.
Okay.
Right, and just so, let me real quickly respond to your question. We don't have a percentage because we don't have an adopted budget as of yet, a final one.
Okay.
President,
Councilman Cotton?
so included with this amount here, we have so far used a
Committed.
total of 152 million?
Committed to.
Committed,
Right.
okay.
Appropriate.
Appropriate,
Right.
okay.
Council President?
Yes,
Because I'm looking
Councilman,
at 42, and it says 150 million, 950,
Right.
and some change. And then here it says 152, so I believe they're adding the 1.1 million?
yes.
This is why it's 152?
This
Yes.
includes, this particular resolution includes the demolition for the armory, the Paterson Armory.
I guess we should approve 42 first, and
All
then
right.
proceed to 50.
Council members, it is now 11:20. And we've got a few items to go. All right. Any other discussion? Roll call, Madam Clerk, on item 52.
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call on item number 52. Mr. President and honorable council members, this resolution requires 6 votes. Councilman Akhtar Uthman,
Pass.
Councilwoman Cotton,
So I guess, I'm sorry, Council President, but, so every item that we need to approve for pertaining to this armory, you still have to come before us for
To expend the
different
funds.
ones. For the different items that we need to work on.
This particular appropriation calls for the total of $1.4 million. $1.1 million, I'm sorry. $1.1 million. The next resolution that you're going to be voting on, which is why you're doing this one first, because this appropriates the funds. The next one
Okay.
is going to be
For the
for the award of bid for the contractor to
Demolish.
partially demolish, which
Okay.
that resolution, I believe, is $780,000. So that's already part of the $1.1 million.
So is this coming from bond money?
This is being done for, through an emergency appropriation.
Bond money. Well,
This is not a bond because we have to go out for a bond,
Right.
but it's a resolution for emergency appropriation.
Okay. Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
thank you. Councilman Davila? Yes. Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Mendez?
Yes.
Councilman Morris?
Yes.
Councilman Seah?
Yes.
Councilman Tavares?
Yes.
Councilman Akhtar Uthman?
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
the vote is 9 in favor, none against. Item number 52 is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, and with the indulgence of the council members, we have the bazaar license. The applicants are here. I just like to take item 48 at this time, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
This is good.
Next item on the agenda is item number 48. Item number 48, resolution addressing the bazaar license for Circa Hermanas Vasquez HV LLC to conduct a circus at Hinchliffe Stadium, finance resolution 15866.
Move.
Moved by Councilman Mendez. Second by Councilman Seah.
Discussion.
Discussion, Councilman Morris.
I thought we were restricted to only having 2 events per year.
For
Not at-
what?
Not
For
at that
what?
site.
No,
Yeah,
that's-
this-
that's
No,
fine.
this venue is entirely for this is
I thought-
stadium.
Yeah, but I thought it was even there also. We already had the bullfighting thing.
No, that wouldn't make,
No, that
No.
was the rodeo you're talking about.
Or the rodeo, whatever.
Yeah.
What does the resolution say with regard to the amount of events?
Those were the sites that were more in residential areas and parks.
I don't
This is-
think it just was restricted to
Well,
that,
Councilman, by definition, stadium
It's for
is for
activity.
those
I think
activities.
they were done already.
You know, it wouldn't, I don't think it would apply.
I wish we could have rent the whole year round.
Right. You don't have 2 events in a stadium.
No,
It
I'm
makes
not,
sense.
I don't care how many events we hear, but I don't want to run afoul of the existing ordinance.
You mean, you run a bull, you mean,
Absolutely.
and no fouls at the rodeo.
Yeah. Council President.
Let me see if the councilman,
Sorry.
Can I move along to, yeah,
Um,
surface area?
Well, I just need to ask the question through Corporation Counsel. What's your understanding of the ordinance?
So if I may, Mr. Council President, Councilor
Yes.
Morris, you're asking about activities at Hinchliffe Stadium.
Yeah, I thought there was some sort of prohibition or restrictions to the amount of activities.
I'm unaware of that restriction. We pulled the agreement the last time we had an
Well,
event there, which was
They're not
the,
talking he's not talking about the Hinchliffe Stadium per se. There's an overarching, bizarre festival,
Right, that-
ordinance or ordinance that says, when we were doing activities at Presidential Boulevard before the supermarket came, that seemed to be a perfect spot to do a lot of activity. And so the people at the towers, the residential towers across the street, was being bombarded by, in the summer, every weekend,
Okay.
their site was being used.
right.
So we established a policy or an ordinance that you wouldn't have more than 2 activities at those particular sites. And the parks, Eastside Park or Westside Park, to
Right.
move it around so that the one set of folk doesn't get bombarded. But I don't believe that this
That I don't know.
applied to the stadium, given that that's a purpose-driven site for sports events. And so regulating to 1 or 2 or 10 or 12 would be counterproductive or counterintuitive to the function of the stadium.
I would certainly agree with that viewpoint. I thought the question was, was there a limitation as to how many events can be in Hinchliffe? So no, having
No.
been described that way, then
Right.
I agree.
No, I thought it wasn't specific to the location. I thought there was restrictions on the type of events. So like, it was like, what, 2 bazaars or 2 events
Well,
like?
I certainly don't think that's the case. We have many, many bazaars. Under our definition of what is a bazaar, it includes circuses, other fairs, and so on. So that I certainly do not think is the case. This is a circus. I think the earlier event at Hinchliffe was a rodeo, which we don't specifically define a rodeo in our ordinance, but we treated it as a circus that fell under the bazaar ordinance. Under any of those analysis, I don't think there's a problem here.
Okay.
Sure.
Any other discussion?
Why are you saying something on the border and-
Roll call, Madam Clerk?
No.
No.
Nope.
No.
No. I'm happy to share the agreement. There is a lot of confusion about this agreement. In essence, the city is permitted to hold events that are for cultural or other recreation purposes. The school maintains a certain amount of exclusivity when it comes to School 5 using Hinchliffe for phys ed purposes. Barring that, we're free to use the facility. Yep, and that's and obviously requires all kinds of requirements with insurance and all that. But that's the crux of it.
Okay, thank you.
And, I'm sorry, Council President. Just for the record, through the chair to legal, and if you could also take a look specifically into the Hinchliffe Stadium to make sure that we don't have any, I know Councilman Morris has raised a concern about that ordinance. I would just want to make sure that that doesn't affect that ordinance or any other doesn't affect the stadium, because it's definitely great when we have people that choose the stadium to conduct different events, because that's the nature of that, and we're not using that facility on any capacity. So if you could take a look into that,
I'll
we
make sure of it.
appreciate it.
One final question, Council President. The memo says that as of this date, please advise that the applicant has not submitted the following documents: proof of having EMT personnel, proof of having adequate security, loudspeaker permit, agreement for the use of Pitchcliff Stadium. Have those things been satisfied?
Mr.
Madam
President,
Clerk?
I
That
can
was-
speak for the loudspeaker. We're still waiting for that. I noticed a copy is attached, but it was never given to the clerk's office, nor the fee was not paid for the loudspeaker.
But similar to what we did with the last scenario, I guess, this approval is contingent upon all of those other, requirements being satisfied by, and that to be administered by the administration. Right? Security and all of that, contingent with that.
I'm sure.
Okay? Roll call, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call on item number 48, resolution addressing the bazaar license for Circus Hermanos Vasquez HV LLC to conduct a circus at Hinchliffe Stadium. Finance Resolution 15866. Councilman Actor Ruderman.
Madam Beer, you have everything.
Approval.
You need it, right? Insurance and everything, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's
Yes.
currently attached to the resolution.
All right, my vote is yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davila.
At this time, I'm not feeling very comfortable with continuing to do events in Hinchcliffe Stadium and its status right now. In regards to what I asked the Corporation Council about the agreement, I would have liked to have seen the agreement, because it's to my understanding that agreement is after the rehabilitation and not before, but I'm not sure. We don't have it here. And so at this time, I'm going to abstain from this vote.
Thank you. Councilman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilman Mendez.
And before my vote, I want to welcome the Circo Hermanos Vasquez to the city of Paterson. I understand it's the first time that you bringing this event to Paterson. I know it's a family event. I remember I went to New York. I attended one of those events in New York, and I know it's great. It's a family event, and it's great. And that's what we need in our city. And I know the stadium is it's just perfect, because you're not using the outside the stadium. You're not using the bench of the stadium. You're gonna use the middle, the field. And so I wish you the best of luck, and I will be there with my kids. So welcome. My vote is yes.
Thank you. Councilman Morris.
There's still some ambiguity as to whether or not, what the restrictions are with regard to these types of activities, and the fact that some of the necessary documents have not yet been executed. I do realize that we often have approved loudspeaker permits after the fact, but I don't recall ever doing the security piece, the EMT personnel, and/or the agreement after the fact. So given that, my vote is no.
Councilman Sayer.
Yes.
Councilman Tavares.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor, 1 against, 1 abstain. Item number 48 is hereby adopted.
Okay. Madam Clerk, Madam B, I'm being told that item 44 is being removed.
Yes.
While you're doing that, we'll take item 43, which is the companion to 52.
That's correct.
Okay.
Item 44 is being removed.
Yes. Item 44 is being removed. Madam Clerk, we'll do item 43 at this time.
Yes, sir. Next item is item number 43. Item number 43, resolution ratifying a contract with Vecchiarello Contracting for the emergency demolition of the Paterson Armory, economic development, resolution 15861.
Madam Clerk, through the Council President, did you just read the title of the actual resolution in front of you?
43. The title that was given to us today.
Okay, no, that's
and-
the correct one.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The title is incorrect on the agenda, but the
Right.
title on the resolution is correct.
And the department, we had made
That's
that
correct.
correction,
All right.
economic
Very
development.
well. Thank you
Yes.
so very much.
You're welcome. May I have a motion and
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Morris, second by Councilman Saya.
Council President,
Discussion, Councilman Saya.
just as a point of clarification, so 44 was removed because we haven't determined whether or not we want to salvage some of the structure?
No, 40.
No,
The one we just voted on does that.
no.
So why are we removing 44?
No, no, no. What happened was, Councilman, this particular resolution that you're going to vote on has a blend, a combination of both of that. Originally, there was two separate resolution. Just one was the award, and then there was the actual change order. It's all into one resolution reflecting both information.
Thank you for that clarity, because my colleague, Councilman Jackson, was talking about shady overtones. So I just wanted to make sure that we were
Shady
certain.
what? Well,
Overtones, he had
what is
mentioned that
shady?
earlier.
What's shady?
The overtones. according
Of
to
what?
him.
Well, that was Councilman Jackson who made that comment.
What's that?
Mr. President?
Councilman Jackson.
I'm sorry, Madam BA. No, I was referring to the response by the community in terms of how the contract was rewarded so quickly. It wasn't anything to insinuate any shady business on the part of the
okay.
administration. Just the fact that the contract was issued so quickly, just to make sure that we're doing our part with,
Right.
you know.
And under the law, based on the emergency procedure, as you've overheard, we're
Understood.
required to do that very quickly.
No, I
But thank
understand.
you for your clarification. I really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Where are we, roll call? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call on item number 43 for approval. Councilman Akhtar Uzaman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davila?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Mendez?
Yes.
Councilman Morris?
Yes.
Councilman Seer?
Yes.
Councilman Tavares?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
The vote is 9 in favor, none against. Item number 43 is hereby adopted. Should we go to 51,
Item 42, Madam Clerk.
42? Next item is item number 42. Item number 42, resolution authorizing state fiscal year 2016 emergency temporary appropriations for the months of December 2015 through January 2016. Administration Resolution 15860.
No. 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 No, we didn't. We did not. We did not. We can go with that. We can do, we did 52. We didn't do 51. We can do that after.
May I have a motion on 42, Mr. President?
Motion on item 42 for the fiscal emergency temporary appropriation, December 2015 to January 2016.
Move it for discussion.
Moved by Councilman Morris,
Second.
second by Councilman Jackson. Discussion,
Council President.
Councilman Mendez.
Sure, I asked in the beginning what was the percentage of the total budget that we've been used, and I know that that's when Madam VA said that we're gonna have the discussion, so I know the finance chair will answer that question for me, which is Councilman Morris.
I guess so. Thank you, Councilman Mendez. Council members, this is a temporary appropriation to cover the months between December and January. in the amount of $50,033,654.61. If the council were to approve this temporary appropriation, it'll bring the total temporary appropriations from the beginning of the fiscal year in July 15 through January 2016 to $150,950,703.65, meaning that there'll be 5 months left in the fiscal year, and we're at $150.9 million of the budget. As you look at the associated attached document, you will see that most of the appropriation is to cover salary and wages, and that would go from page 1 to page 6. No, I'm sorry, page 5. On page 5, you see some of those, you see expenses that the city has little or no control over, which are things for electricity, street lighting, telephone service, gas, as well as statutory expenditures, which include Social Security, Medicare, the public employee retirement system, unemployment, the pension funds for police and fire, the defined contribution for the retirement system, and state disability. Moving on to page 6, you'll see total midway down to the page of $7,927,246.58. This represents grant funds, which are offset by revenue, but they have to be included as in this temporary appropriation. So theoretically, you can back out the $7.9 million out of the $50,033,000 because there's a revenue offset for that. And by that, I mean it does not necessarily becomes a pocketbook issue for the taxpayers because there's revenue to offset that. However, if you move up above that, you'll see municipal debt service. You have total municipal debt service of $6,685,000. That's which is due December 15th, and that is inclusive of $1.1 million in interest payments. That does become a pocketbook issue because that does impact the taxpayers. There are monies beyond that that the city would be looking to refinance, but as I said, you have to, that $6.6 million does become a pocketbook issue. So here's the concern. As I said, there's 5 months left in the fiscal year. These monies have been appropriated and identified as part of the conversation for the introduced budget. So therefore, you have a situation where the council has not yet adopted a budget that includes numbers that are part of the introduced budget, and the council can't adopt a budget until we get our transitional aid from the state of New Jersey, all right, which we still don't know when that's going to happen. So it creates a scenario where as we move further along this path, that at some point, the administration is going to be tasked with finding money to reduce the budget that was introduced down to where it doesn't exceed the 2% cap levy. And that's a considerable amount of money. And I don't want to quote a figure because it can be off, but I would just say it's a considerable amount of money. My concern, and this is only my concern, is that as you get further down this stream, the only places you are going to be able to find those types of dollars are in bodies, or in salaries. Unfortunately, when you do a RIF, a reduction in force, you literally only save about 40 cents on the dollar. So you don't get the value of the whole dollar, you only get about 40 cents value. And that's even devalued even more depending on the point within the year in which you do it, when you take in consideration 45-day notices and so forth. So, but the only way you can look to reduce the amount that's specified here in the temporary appropriation is through the O&E category, because you have to pay salaries, and that includes salaries, and those other expenses that I mentioned, such as utilities, insurance, and some of those statutory expenses, you have no control of those. Those have to be paid, and you have to pay down your debt service. However, the O&E has already been incurred, so you have to pay for it. So that's sort of the situation we're in, and that the expenses have been incurred. We're at $150 million. Remember, the introduced budget I believe had a municipal portion of about 151 million. That's somewhere here, 150, 152 million. So literally, you know, you're knocking at the door of what was introduced, yet we have not yet approved the adoption of that budget. So I'll end there, and in case anyone has any specific questions, or if the administration wants to chime in.
Council President?
Councilman Tavares?
Thank you. Councilman Morris, can we go back to page 6 for the municipal debt? And by the way, just a point of clarification, the amount, it's now 150,950,000 because of the emergency appropriation for the armory is actually 152 million right now. So
Right,
even
you
though
would
we're
have to
approving
include
this,
that
just
in.
make sure that we're approving 150 right now, but it's actually 152 because we already appropriated another 1.1. So let's make sure we have that number.
Yeah.
It's 152. If we continue at this pace, we're burning about $21 million per month. We're going to end up around 260. About $260 million at the end of the year. And we're right now appropriating to 7 months, only 5 years left to bring the budget like Councilman Morris said.
Months, not years.
I mean, 5
I wish we had 5 years.
Yeah, that would have been an easy one, right? 5 months. So let's go back to the debt service. Fiscal year 2015, July through January, we paid $3.1 million. This fiscal year, we had $10 million.
You on, which page are you on?
Page 6, municipal debt. I'm looking at the bottom, it's total excluded from caps. Right? So this year we had 10 million. The difference is about 6.8 million. It's a 220% increase. Does this include, what does this kind of, what?
Councilman, just so that we can follow you, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm on page 6.
What page?
But there's 2 pages.
But there's two-
Oh, there are?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Front document that has.
All right.
Sorry, I'm looking at the last page 6.
Okay.
The last,
Oh,
as a matter, the last
All
page.
right.
The last number 6.
Yeah, so this is, I thought this was the one you were talking about, Councilman Morris.
No,
Is this the
sorry.
same one?
No,
No,
see, look
that
on
isn't.
page 7 of the beginning of the sheet, and that'll show you
Right.
the emergency refunding bonds, the tax appeal refunding bonds, and the qualified emergency refunding bonds.
All right, so page 7 or page 6?
Page 7,
All right.
about midway through the page. You see that, you see
So it's 7.8
7.8,
million, right?
right.
All right, so if we go to page 6 to compare the two, right? Because now we're talking about last year and this year. During the same period, fiscal year 2015, the total municipal debt was 3.1 million. Is that correct? That's the last page 6. Can you walk me through this page then?
Yeah, from fiscal year 2015, from July to January was 3.1 million, right?
Exactly. Is that what I'm looking at? That's what I said. Then, if we look at the next column, we're looking at fiscal year 2016, July through January, so comparing the two periods. It says now it was $10 million, so the difference is about 6.8 million, and the difference, it's 220% increase.
Right here.
My question is, what caused this increase? I'm looking at here,
So Councilman, if I can.
yes, please.
So the difference is, and I can have Mr. Tenhove elaborate further if you wish, but the difference is that the payback for those particular bonds last year came, because you're comparing last year to this year, came in the month of June. This year, As you know, it's coming now in the month of December because we have to refinance that. And that is where those two, the difference of the timing and the dates reflect that information. Remember, we're going to go back out and refinance. They come due on December 15th. We will have that out in the market on December 14th for that refinance, which is what we're going to.
So refinancing, are those the bonds for the road reconstruction?
No, no, no. This is for the debt that you're referring to. Remember how
Okay.
back in June, you did that under the previous budget year. That was done in June of before June 30th of this year. Then that was only remember when we only financed it for 6 months because we had such a high interest rate and we wanted to go back in the market. So those bond notes come due December 15th. So not long ago, the council allowed us to go and refinance that. That's where the PCIA is going to provide us with an application. They're putting in an application we put in an application to the Passaic County Improvement Authority. They are picking up the notes on our behalf. We're going to go out to refinance those bonds, and we're going to be able to get a much lower interest rate for that dollar amount, for those.
But what I'm saying
debt.
is, those are the bonds for the road reconstruction, no?
No, sir, no, it is not. It is for
what?
the municipal debt that was carried over
Gotcha.
from last year.
Okay. So the difference right now is about $7 million.
Which will be refinanced now on December 15th.
And what's the interest rate that we have now and that we're looking for?
We will know that on when it actually goes out to the market, but I can assure you, because these are based on qualified bond interest rate, it will be significantly less than what we're currently paying. Right now, we're paying, I think it's 3.75 or 4%, but it is a bit higher than that. We will then be paying a lot less than that. I don't want to quote what an interest rate is.
I understand the interest rate change, that's
Right,
fine.
exactly. So only until you go on the day of when it gets sold is when you will find the actual interest rate.
All right, thank you very much, Council President.
Council President? Through the chair, the business administrator, Madam BA,
Yes, Councilman?
when can we anticipate the transitional aid award
So,
amount being announced?
being announced, being awarded, that it's up to the decision of the local finance board, as you're aware. I can't respond to that knowing exactly when they will do that, but I can tell you that we are working very closely with the Division of Local Government Services to obtain and acquire that.
Any other question
once-
on this?
Just once again, the municipal portion that was introduced, when you factor in the set aside for the library of 2.2 million, brings the total municipal portion to $153,808,000. Then you also have to include, as the councilman pointed out, the recent appropriation of a little over 1 million, so bring that to 154. If you look at, you can carve out of this total number of the of this 50,033,000, the payments, as I said, for the grant funding, but there's also a payment in here for sewer. 2 million in there for sewer, but what isn't in this number, unless I'm wrong, and Mr. Tino, you can correct me, is in a proportionate payment for open space, county, or school board. This is all municipal. So the point being, this is all municipal debt. The municipal budget that was introduced was 153 million. We're now, with this appropriation, at about 151, or 152 if you really round it up. and we still have 5 months left in the year.
So, Mr. Chairman, through the Council President, let me just say that it is indeed, and I think the Councilwoman Khan kept asking, it is indeed our intention to go out and try and bond for the $1.1 million that you awarded here tonight for the emergency demolition of the armory. So technically being able to then remove that from our municipal budget obligation.
All right, so you remove the 1.1, that still brings you to 150.
I understand, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, but once again, it's still 150 million with 5 months left in the fiscal year.
Right.
Which is just 3 million shy of where we had introduced the municipal portion of the budget.
No, right, it was the introduced budget, the same time last year, you're saying? Was 280? No, that's not what he's saying. The municipal portion.
Well, let me clarify and make it a little clearer. What is the amount of the total number for the municipal portion of the budget that was introduced?
Jim is saying it's 283.
The municipal budget was introduced and passed by council at roughly $283
But
million.
that includes everything.
The amount to be
Right.
raised
About just the
by
municipal portion.
Yeah.
The amount-
283. 283.
No.
The levy is 153.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So the rest of the budget is offset by revenue.
The levy, where we are now, if this appropriation is approved, we'll be at 150,950,703.65, right?
Right.
Okay. You can carve out about 7.9 out of that, because that's offset by revenue, all right? However, the 150 that's here now, isn't inclusive. I'm sorry, the 50 for the December to January isn't inclusive of those other expense items such as open space, county. It's just municipal expenses.
Yes.
Okay. The point I'm making, now how much of the 150.9 is solely municipal expenses in total?
I can't answer that right now because I don't know how much of grants had been appropriated prior to this resolution. It would be the amount of grants in the original temporary budget, and then any grants that were included in prior temporary emergency appropriations.
But in the prior temporary appropriation, did they include expenses for other tax categories such as open space, county?
No.
Right. It's all municipal
Yes.
expenses.
That's
all right?
all we deal with.
Once again, exactly. My point being, if you're looking at this in total, the municipal expenses would be a little over $150 million from the beginning of the fiscal year to date. All right? The levy, the amount to be raised by taxes, is a similar number.
By coincidence only.
Yeah, but it's by
no
coincidence,
association.
but it's still 5 months left in the fiscal year,
Well, if you take the introduced budget
right?
for the whole year for the municipal purposes, it was $283 million.
But that
We're-
$283 million, all right, is inclusive of those other tax categories.
Not open space, not school, not county. Just municipal.
Last year's adopted budget was about $253 million, when we adopted last year's budget. Right now, we're at 283, the introduced budget, which we know is not going to be the final adopted budget. So it's going to be reduced from there. So I think we're talking apples and oranges here a little bit, Captain. Because the amount to be raised just happens to be about $151 million.
Right.
That's the number you're coming up with here. But that's a different number. As Jim said, not counting all the revenues that will get put in the budget, that's just the tax portion for the taxpayers.
Right.
Not the amount of revenues that
Yeah.
we put on top
But,
of
yeah,
that
but,
to bring it up to the
yeah,
283.
that, I understand that, Russ, but what I'm looking at is comparing the amount to be raised by taxes all right, which was introduced, all right, and the amount to be raised by taxes, and that's inclusive of this temporary appropriation year to date.
Okay, you don't see that right now in these numbers, the way they look right now. You don't
Right,
see-
that's what I was asked for,
Right.
what that number is.
Well, you have to back out a bunch of things to get that number.
Council President,
There's $11 million worth of.
just a
grants.
second, Council President, just a point of order. It's being televised, so I don't think that anyone can hear Russ speak, so he can come to the mic over here or somewhere. I know we can hear you, but I know folks, that are watching the show, the program.
I'll be surprised if they can't hear the way how loud Russ speaks.
Just want to remind everyone of the time at hand. Go ahead.
Council President, you want to put his mic on? Do you want to put his mic on?
We have about $11 million worth of grants already in this budget as it stands right now. Last year, we had about $6 million in grants at this point in time. So the grants increased approximately about $5 million. We also have that additional $3 million that we had in the original emergency. That's in here, that's sitting in that total also. It would have to be backed out of that total. So you got about $15 million that would be backed out of that total as it stands right now, just with those two items.
Council President.
Council President.
Mr. Russell, will you be able to do a budget projection? Because I know that, and just give us, I know you're counting on grants and state aid, and because we're gonna be up to 152, and we still have 5 months to go. And I know that we kicking the cans down the road and waiting for somebody else to fix it, and that somebody else would be the additional grants that you're talking about, the state aid. But I would like to see a budget projection on how this is gonna end up based on the history.
It can only
based on the
be
past.
2% over last year, so that means the number can only be 151,172. That's what it can be. We're at 174, so we have to reduce it down. Eventually, it has to get down to that number, otherwise we can't pass the budget according to the state. So we'll have to make that number.
And Councilman Mendez, through Council President, let me just clarify something you said. The grant information that's on this budget, those are not anticipated grants that we're going to apply for in the hopes of getting. These are actual awards of dollars. These are the revenues. These are grants that have already been awarded to us, which is why they're included here on the revenue side, which we must appropriate in order for us to expend from. So these are monies already received in the grants. Okay?
Council President? Council
We're about
President?
$15 million. There's about a $15 million difference in the amount to be raised by taxes based on where we are now and what was introduced.
Yes. You got the grant money's 11.
If you back out all that, we're about $15 million.
For that portion, yes. Correct.
Did you say 15 or 50?
15.
15, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Madam BA, how much are we seeking to the transitional aid? How much did you apply for?
We will be submitting, we're working with the local finance board with that right now, and that has not been submitted yet at the agreement and discussion for both of us to try to see what we can do with this budget, recognizing that we have such an extreme large, difference.
Yeah, but I thought the budget, introduction budget we passed because of the transitional aid.
Yes, that's
So-
correct. So we're working with them right now to try to, it's going to be actually part of that. I requested an extension, which I was granted for the purpose of just finalizing that, and that is going to be submitted to them.
Yeah, now my second question, you see on the page 6, I believe Councilman Tavares asked, from 3.1 million to 10 million, and you said because of page 6, On
Page
the-
6
yeah,
from the
last page, yeah.
portion?
Yes, where it says
Okay.
municipal debt service 3.1 million. And
Yes.
this year is 10 million. But you said that because of the debt came in, so we have to refinance.
I will have Mr. Tenhove explain that again.
Okay, last budget year, at this point in time, the notes were not yet due.
Okay.
Those notes became due in December, way past this date. So that's why they were not included at this point in time last year. Because we issued 6-month notes, those notes come due in December, which is in the period of this appropriation.
Okay.
Just to
That's the
correct.
reason that it is higher this year than last year.
But she was saying also
Just
going
a
to
correction, he said December. Last year's notes were not due until June, and this year's notes
Is
are
due
due in
December.
December, which reflects what is it, the
6.6.
the $6.6 million. When you add that to the 3.1, that gives you your total.
But if we refinance it, is it going to change anything or no?
No.
Okay.
It will just take it, it will,
We'll just take it out of
the
this.
interest will be lower.
Right, the interest will be lower, and then we're going to just roll over refinance it for a lower interest rate.
Yeah, thank you. But, yeah, I just have one concern because I did not vote on $283 million. But the way it's going right now, eventually it's going to hit to 283, so.
No, it can't. Cannot.
It cannot, I want to make sure
Cannot.
you say that correctly.
Cannot.
It cannot. The law does not allow us to go beyond a 2% cap. We know that, and we are not in the position, we cannot exceed that. I just want to make that correction. I don't want the public to think that we're doing it incorrectly.
All right, thanks.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Madam Clerk, on Resolution 42.
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call on item number 42, resolution authorizing state fiscal year 2016 emergency temporary appropriations for the month of December 2015 to January 2016, Administration Resolution 15860, and this resolution requires 6 affirmative votes. Councilman Akhtar Ruderman.
Pass.
Councilwoman Cotton. Councilwoman Davila.
Yes.
Councilman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilman Mendez.
Abstain.
Councilman Morris.
Pass.
Councilman,
not?
Councilman Seah.
No.
Councilman Tavares.
No.
Councilman Akhtar Ruderman.
Pass.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Morris. Councilman Morris.
I don't understand the point.
No, it's not even that. All bills and this.
We currently have to look for somewhere between 12 and 15 million in order to bring the budget down to within the 2% cap between now and the adoption of the budget. So in 5 months, we have to find anywhere between 12 and 15 million dollars, and the only place I can see where that can happen is through some sort of reduction in force. Yeah, and I'm just saying, you don't even get to, you have to lay off everyone to get to that number. And I know we set aside a certain amount of money in anticipation of contract negotiation for uniformed personnel. For everyone? All right, so for all employees, and that number is around 12 million. What?
Don't want to say that.
Oh, okay. That number is a large number, or a small number, or whatever number. I just feel that, you know, we're really backing ourselves in a corner here, and I wish we had looked at the O&E and looking at ways of reducing the O&E in this budget before we even got to the temporary budget, because that's really the only place where you had some flexibility, is in the O&E. You don't have flexibility in salary and wages, and you don't have flexibility in statutory expenses. My vote is no.
Councilman Actor Rosamond?
No.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Voting for, the
So,
vote is
Council
4 in
President-
favor, 4 against, 1 abstain. Item number 42 failed.
Is what?
Failed.
Okay. So for the next 2 months, there will not be any payroll or any other fiscal, and we will not be able to pay down our debt, any of our interests? Okay, I just want you to be aware of that.
Madam Clerk, we'll move to item 51.
Yes, Mr. President. Next item on the agenda is item number 51. Item number 51, resolution to authorize the City of Paterson Department of Community Development to enter into an agreement for the first-time home buyers program, Predana, Community Development Resolution 15872.
Moved by Councilman Morris, second by Councilman Mendez. Roll call, Madam Clerk, on Resolution 51.
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call on item number 51 for approval. Councilman Actor Rosamond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton?
I'm sorry, Council President, Councilman Morris, this was one of the items, is okay?
Yes.
Okay. My vote is yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Davila? Yes. Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Mendez?
Yes.
Councilman Morris?
Yes.
Councilman Sayer? Yes. Councilman Tavares?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
The vote is 9 in favor, none against. Item number 51 is hereby adopted.
Council President?
Councilman Morris?
Yeah, before I forget, in your home packets will be sent the fiscal year 2014 audited financial statements. The council members, you have to read at least the last page of the summary, which identifies the recommendations made by the auditors, sign off on that last page, and then there will be a resolution that the council has to vote and confirm that everybody's read the recommendation portion of the audit itself. Madam Clerk will be sending these home in your home packet, so you don't forget them and leave them here, but read the recommendation, sign off. There should be a signature page in there, and then there'll be a resolution that says that you actually read the recommendations.
Okay.
Mr. President, and I'm sending them tomorrow, because we are off for Thursday and Friday, so they will be sent out tomorrow in home packages.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Would you have someone scan the recommendation pages
To all the,
and email that to the council members separately,
with everyone,
in
with
addition to?
the booklet with the.
Yes, just the section for
I'll forward
recommendation.
it. I will.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, Madam B.A.?
Just a point of clarification, if I may be given the opportunity, I just want to make sure that all the council members know what will happen now is that we have a debt payment obligation that we have to keep, which will over-expend our our temporary appropriation, which we are required to do, which is the $7 million? $6.6 million. We'll have to call our bond counsel to make sure that we're able to do that. That'll be a deferred charge. We are required to pay down our debt. We will not have salaries for any of the employees, but we will be required under the law to pay the debt first. So I just wanted to point that out.
Councilwoman Davila?
Just a question, when you say no salary for any employees?
We cannot exceed, you did not approve the temporary budget appropriation, so there is no current, after what date? After what time, whatever the last pay period is, that will be the last pay period, because there's no money appropriated or approved by the council.
So
for
that will
this
also
budget.
mean that the council will not get paid?
No
this
one
month?
will get paid.
Okay, thank you very much.
From what?
The end of November.
But
From
that
the
happened.
end of November on, there will be no payments out to anyone.
Council President, I remember
Councilwoman Khan?
a couple, when Mayor Jeffrey Jones was in office and the emergency appropriation was not, it failed. And he made payroll. He was told by DCA you needed to make payroll, and that's the bottom line.
Well, then that would circumvent all of the council members, so we can run the government without the council's approval, because DCA can take over, of course.
Okay, I think those are all the matters that we can address tonight. Anything that's not addressed will be carried over to our next meeting. A motion to adjourn?
Move.
Moved by Councilwoman Davila, second by Councilman Mendez. Roll call, Madam Clerk, to adjourn the Municipal Council meeting.
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call to adjourn the regular meeting of November 24, 2015. Councilman Actor Ruderman, we're closing.
Good night, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving, and see you hopefully next
There's
week.
no
And-
turkey, Councilman. You voted for no turkey. What do you mean, happy
what do you mean?
Thanksgiving? They can't
Yes.
have Thanksgiving.
And,
Or
and
Christmas.
my second ward resident, please, I'm every day out there from 7 to midnight. I'm driving around in my area. So if you have any issues, if you suspect something, just give me a call. I'll be there within 10 minutes. So I always, I by myself, because sometimes I see, whenever I see no cops in my ward, I personally drive around. I call the director to, where are those guys? Sometimes I heard them there in 4th Ward, but I'm sorry. But anytime you need a service, and if you're not getting response from anything, give me a call. And especially from 7 to midnight, I'm going to patrol the area. So thank you, good night, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Thanks, bye.
You're going to see him in December. We have a meeting in December.
Councilman, your vote is yes? Councilman Actor Ruderman,
Your vote.
Councilman, your vote?
My vote is yes.
thank
Yeah.
you. Councilwoman Cotton?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would just like to say that I had just wanted to answer Donald Lynch about the trucking that's happening in our city. We've been talking about this for many months now, and the creation of the problem is coming from Fifth Avenue, where they're doing that major construction down there with Passaic Valley Sewer. And what's happening is, and I constantly call traffic because trucks are coming through the city. When I'm saying trucks, major garbage trucks with the long, that carry the garbage loads, that takes them to the transfer station. So they cut through Paterson Street and they cut through 10th Avenue constantly. So the police department have been informed about that, but that's what's happening with the trucking that's coming through the city because of the major problem. I just want to say thank you to the RGF production, Navira Gray, and Fetty Wap. And what happened was that they blessed me with some turkeys, and we did it at Masonic Temple. And I can say that when I heard him speak tonight, he had said about Thanksgiving dinner where he didn't have an address, and because he ate at different people's houses. And so I always say to the people in the community, we have to learn how to feed each other and how to learn how to take care of each other. And I can say I really want to thank them for coming out and doing this for my ward, for the city of Paterson. But I also would like to thank the Brothers Organization, Integrity Lodge number 51, Masonic Temple, because whenever we ask them to do something in the community, they always step up. I want to thank my Passaic County Constable with my Chief Toledo. I want to thank my Paterson Community Police and my Paterson Police Department for coming out and volunteering for me tonight. And I also want to thank one of my best friends, April Lampley, for helping me, my husband Edward and my daughter Candace and my son Edward. And I would just like to say that I would like for you all to say a special prayer for our former councilwoman, Councilwoman Vera Ames. We had to take her to the hospital, but keep her in prayer, please, because we're really not sure of the diagnosis yet. But for you all out there, I'm having, and I have my former councilwoman name here, our 32nd annual Thanksgiving dinner at the Masonic Temple on Thursday at 1 o'clock. And I want to thank all those that come out that helped me to put this together. And that's my Integrity Lodge number 51, my Paterson Care, my Mature Sisters, my Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Group, Paterson Alumni Chapter, my Bronze Shield of Passaic County, my Fourth Ward Alliance, my Women Empowerment Group, and my Bronze Heat Group. Please, if you're not doing anything, Masonic Temple will be open for Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday, November 26th. I would like to wish everyone out there a happy Thanksgiving. If you would like to come out and help us and do anything on Thursday, thank you so very much. Have a happy Thanksgiving to you all out there. Have a good night. My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilwoman. I have to have it in alphabetical order. I have to have alphabet. Councilwoman Davila.
We can go by alphabet.
Paterson, good night. Wishing you all a healthy, happy, safe Thanksgiving. Thank you to all of those who came out to the Flavors of Paterson event. Thank you to all of those that that have worked with us with our turkey drive, and just be safe out there. Good night. My vote is yes.
Thank you. Councilman Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. As the newest member here on the council, I appreciate all of your willingness to support. Welcome any input. I'm a bit disappointed on my first night sitting on the chair. I think something that passed by me, unless I'm overlooking or looking too far into it. But to have a scenario where there's potentially through the Christmas holiday, I know we have one workshop meeting in December, and then we're off for the rest of the month. But to have a potential situation where we can't make payroll, and then council members walk out and be more engaged in other things, it's disappointing. So we have an obligation to the community, and that also speaks to the direction of the people who are employed by the city. And I completely understand my fellow council person's position where we may not completely agree with certain instances in the budget, but we got to figure out a way to work together and bring things to the table as opposed to just shooting ducks out of the air. So my vote is yes, Madam Clerk, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mendez?
Sure, in brief, let me take this moment to thank all the members of the community for attending our second annual health fair this past Saturday at the Paterson Museum. It was amazing. We received over 300 resident of the city of Paterson that visited us and took advantage about all the screening, and also we helped so many families with the Blue Cross and Blue Shield company, with Obamacare and Medicaid. We took them through the process. We helped them to apply, and they've received all the different screening and the activity for the children. It was amazing. We're going to do our second one on December 12th. We extended time from 3 to 4 because it was not enough time. So thank you once again for the great support, and we will be back on December 12th. Also, this Thanksgiving Day, I will be having my Thanksgiving lunch for the needed, my annual Thanksgiving lunch at East High School at the cafeteria. From 11 to 3, we're going to be there just having lunch with the community. If you don't have a place to go, if you don't have your family right next to you, just come and let's have a great lunch, and let's talk. Let's have a great time as a family, because that's what we are. In order for us to change the city, we're gonna have to come together and support each other, and that's gonna be this coming Thursday on Thanksgiving Day from 11 to 3. And I would like to wish each and every one of the residents of the great city of Paterson a happy Thanksgiving. Let's take care a little bit more each one of us. And God bless you all, and have a good night, Paterson.
Councilman, your vote?
My vote is yes.
Thank you. Councilman Fair?
Thank you. Now that the recreation tax has been defeated, we have to find ways to raise revenue without raising taxes, which means reviewing ordinances that deal with quality of life, whether it's the noise ordinance, removing the decibel measurement, or looking at illegal dumping, illegal dwelling, illegal parking, those types of things, and selling all city-owned properties that are vacant. Those are things that we have to look at, because ultimately we just can't keep burdening the taxpayer. So that's something I'm serious about as far as enhancing revenue for our city without going back to the taxpayer. My vote is yes.
Thank you. Councilman Tavares?
You know, when I vote on the budget, I take it seriously. And I've been doing this for some time now. And as we look at the budget right now, we are what the administration was asking was $152 million for the first 7 months. If you look at what they're asking for, is on average about $260 million by the end of the year. That's about $3 million over what has been appropriated from last year with the 2% cut bank. By voting right now, what you're saying is, if this administration is not able to bring back the budget, and I've been here before when we raised taxes 20%, when we were promised that we're going to do it, and then 2 months before, and I'm not saying the administration can't do it, I was here when we raised taxes 20%. The same situation. We were like, we're going to get it done, and then we couldn't. We thought we were going to get the money from the state. We didn't get it. So to come here and say, well, Christmas is coming, but we've been saying that we need to reduce the budget since July. We've been looking at the overtime situation. We're looking at all these things. And now we're being put in a situation where we're going to be, as Councilman Morris, that has been saying, hey, we need to do this, and this finance chair, had to vote no today. Because what we're looking right now, if we don't take this step, we're going to back into a double-digit tax increase at the end of the year. And if you recall that when Mayor Jones was here, I don't even want to remember how bad that was. So the reason why I vote no, it's not because I want to vote no. It's because I know I've been here already, and I do not want to go through that again. When that tax increase came in, I promised myself that I would never go through that again. Now, if we want to reduce the budget and do certain things, let's do it. We need to cut back on expenditures. Councilman McCoy has said it many times. Hey, if we go shopping and we put stuff in a cart, we can afford it. We got to take a couple of things out. We need to do that. And, you know, I've been very vocal about the road reconstruction. Some people supported that. That's fine, but that's going to increase our debt next year. I got to prepare for that. I got to make sure that we have enough in the budget. So it's just not, hey, let's support this and let's see what happens in January. That's going to put us in 7 months, and that's my biggest concern, that we're going to back into this. I hope that the administration can get it done, but I've been here, and we raised 25% at one point in time. And the last thing, Council President, over the last, quickly, I mean, we're already past the time, so over the last week, there has been a lot of, I would say, rhetoric against Muslims because of attacks in Paris, to the point that one of the Republican candidates said that he actually saw people, Muslims, celebrating on 9/11 when the towers came down. And no, they said in Jersey City, and they said it in Paterson. And I tell you that's a lie, at least in Paterson. Because I remember that day I drove through South Paterson Main Street to see if it was true. And there was nobody in the streets. It was quiet. Now remember, this guy, this individual said that he actually saw people from Manhattan in Jersey City. And then when he was asked, he says, no, he read it or something. So what I'm saying is, we are at least, how can I say that we have the ability to know the difference. We know there's bad people and good people. And we have a lot of Muslims in Paterson. And we know that there's bad and good. And we know we have tons and a lot of great Muslims in our community. It sort of upsets me when I see how they're being used as a political tool to say, oh, here's what's happening so to get more votes. Just make sure that I just want to say to our Muslim brothers and sisters in the city of Paterson, New Jersey, that we support you. We understand that there are bad Muslims, there are bad Christians, and there are good Muslims and good Christians. There are bad Dominicans and good Dominicans, and everybody has good and bad. And we know that most of the Muslims that at least reside in the city of Paterson, and I know around the world, are good people. And with that, I say happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and my vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Morris, we are closing. I'm asking for your vote. At 12:30? Yes, sir. My vote is yes. Thank you. Mr. President?
Madam Clerk and council members, let me say that I think we owe ourselves an obligation to trash this issue out. I know it's late. It was coming late. I didn't want to step in between the process, but to get to that weighty issue of turning off the spigot when it comes to payroll and the operation of the city, I think we're stepping right on the line of irresponsible. I'm not saying that we ought to have approved the appropriation, but I think we owe it to the employees, our vendors, the residents of the city of Paterson to at least opine a little more about the temporary budget and to put a fix in place that would allow us to be a going concern, be able to keep the doors open and pay our bills. We have fallen into the position, I think at least some among us, of just saying, I'm not voting for any budget, I'm not voting for any levy, and it is really hampering the council because we're not given full consideration. I can clearly understand the reluctance if you track the numbers the way we have, and I clearly understand what the concern is. Nonetheless, we are a bunch of grown-ups here. We have a grave responsibility, and I think that we should at least wring our hands a little bit more with respect to that before we reach that conclusion. I don't know where we're going to go from here, but I'm hopeful that the administration will engage both the council in general and DCA and try to figure out a way forward in terms of resolving this impasse. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Let me also take this moment to extend once again to the family of the late Reverend Turner, who has been a great spiritual leader in this community, someone of great confidence and trust, who have given a life of service to this community, chaplain to the fire department, and an honorable man who has passed. The funeral arrangements, I believe, are being formulated, but I understand there'll be some activities on Saturday with the funeral being held on Sunday, and I would urge everyone to come out and show their respect to him and to the dedication that he gave in service to this city and this community. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, everyone. Good night and God bless.
And your vote is yes, Council
My vote is yes.
President? Yes. The vote is 9 in favor, none against. The regular meeting is hereby adjourned. Good night, everyone. Good night.